When I think about working with members of my church on end-of-life issues, I think of times where I feel we've been able to walk together. There are also times when I feel I haven't been able to do that well, and that's why I wanted some help. There was a recent occasion when a beloved person in the church was facing a very serious illness. I was concerned because initially, he, being such a gentle soul, wasn't really being a very good advocate for himself. I thought my job was to help him advocate for himself, to see himself as a child of God worthy of advocacy. I didn't really let it go. And upon looking back on it, he had already turned that corner. And what I had failed to do was to really listen. During the training, one of the doctors who was working with us, after hearing my story that I hadn't listened particularly well before, she had me engage in an exercise. It was simply to sit there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, sit there, listen to the person across me, sit there silently for 2 minutes. It was hard.
The mother of my children developed breast cancer, and that was right around the time that I actually went into the ministry. My wife, when she passed, she was Bethel's first death. I just remember all that I went through during that time. I realized the fact that this is more than just somebody being sick. It's a group thing, it's a family thing. And I think that's what the church is about. The church is about supporting each other and being there for people in sickness and in health. One of the issues that you find is, as ministers, we're not trained to share those things with one another. In the training is to sit there with a lot of people saying the same thing. They're asking questions that are on your mind that you don't ask. Anytime you can get together with people of like mind, that was strengthening for me.
I was a young mom at Mass General, having a miscarriage, and devastated. There was a Catholic nun chaplain that ministered to me. She was so kind and so compassionate that I began to cry a little bit with her. And I said, wait, I don't want to cry. And she said, why not? And I said, well, I'm afraid that they'll medicate me then during this procedure. And I remember her words to this day. She said, Julie, tell them that you want to be medicated only for physical pain, but not emotional pain. And I instantly bonded with her. And I remember later saying, I want to be that for people. Training for this type of work is important because you can think you're doing God's work and not be doing God's work. And so you need another voice to help you discern that.
One of my earliest experiences of a little girl named Elizabeth who I took care of in my second year of residency. She was 5 years old and developed a leukemia for which we, at the time, had no cure. After several months of being treated, she and her mother agreed to stop the treatments and decided that they would return home to upstate Maine and just live out whatever time they had. After several months, I discovered her in her room having a party. And she explained to me that they were having a party because, as she said, she had been praying. God told her that 3 things. She was going to go to heaven, and she was going to see her grandmother, and she wasn't going to be sick anymore. And the next time I heard from her family, her mother came to the hospital and said, it had a black Raggedy Ann doll, which she had named Dr. Gloria. And before she died, she made out a will and willed Dr. Gloria to me. It's one of those situations where there really was, just this kind of seamless complexity of body, mind, spirit. I had an opportunity to participate in the palliative care education program. And there they presented the Serious Illness Conversation Guide. It occurred to me that some of those same questions are ones that a community-based clergy would be concerned in terms of supporting their congregate.
So what do I hope comes from training of people with faith? I think it's a willingness to maybe go into deeper waters.
Part of journeying with people is to be with them in times of great sorrow and pain and know it's not ours to fix.
So I hope people begin to look at the fact that they're more than flesh and blood. And I want people to begin to think about that, you know, and the legacy that they're going to leave and how they want to do it.
I think one of the things I'm hoping that we can learn too is the extent to which community-based clergy, working with hospital-based clinicians, can collaborate more effectively around the care of my congregant and your patient.